Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to another edition of Thumb Masters. I am your fellow Thumb Master, Matt, today. So let's talk The Ritual. The Ritual is originally a novel by Adam Neville, but it's been adapted, because everything gets adapted these days, into a British horror film directed by David Bruckner. I had to look at my notes to realise who directed it. I apologise to the director, I didn't mean that with any offence. Four blokes decide to hike in the mountains of Sweden due to what was meant to be a stag do is now turned into a sort of memorial for one of their best mates who was involved in an unfortunate crisis. One of them twists his ankle because he's a dodgy little fucking cunt. To make the trek closer so they're not in the middle of goddamn nowhere, they decide to go through the woods. Bad idea. It's like the filmmakers sat down and watched the Blair Witch Project, but were very, very underwhelmed and disappointed that they did not see the entity. So this time they decided to remake the film, but this time they were going to show you the entity because that's what people wanted. Your mind is a lot stronger than the actual visuals, so that's why when you don't see something, that's why it becomes a lot more scary. Which is why I think that's what horror films struggle with, is when they show the monster. Yeah, the third act. Let's talk about the third act. Basically, how the film ends. That is the biggest problem we have, and I can't really go into too much without spoiling it. I'm not going to be a dick and spoil it for other people, but the problem we have with this film is basically it doesn't really have an ending. Our character, our central character, he is struggling, or so we think he is struggling, with guilt over something, and the idea should have been him wanting to redeem himself and finding a way to redeem himself. Let's take a film like Filth. The main character in that, he doesn't get redeemed, but there is definitely closure here, and there doesn't even seem to be closure here in this film, The Ritual. That is so disappointing. Not only does he not redeem himself, it feels like he doesn't want to redeem himself. So why are we rooting for him? Don't get me wrong, I'm not going to shit on this film too much. There is a good first act and a pretty solid middle act as well. It starts off well, it starts off great and really compels you. And one thing I'll definitely give, the horror genre in Britain in general, not just this film, but we do comedy and horror, that combination, the moments of levity, we do them well, we give them strength and substance. It's the sarcasm, isn't it, and the cruel humour, which kind of balances well in this sort of intense and bleak world that they're in. Our main protagonist, Luke, played by Raspel, whatever, has regular dream sequences where he'll be in a hut or be in the middle of the forest and there'll be a door, and he'll open the door and he'll be in a shop, and that shop has some significance. It's really fascinating to watch, and they do it really well, and they add some great poetry there, and that's what makes you think he's on the pathway to redemption, and then he just doesn't. I know this may sound very vague, but I'm trying not to spoil anything, and I feel like I am spoiling something. Basically, at the end of the day, The Ritual, it starts up here and then it just quite quickly, really disappointingly, goes down here, off the screen. I mean, that's the screen, off the screen. Really disappointing, and while it does have its moments, it left me so flat and empty and really unsatisfied. Thumbs down. But did you have a different opinion? Have you seen The Ritual? Please comment on the section below, like, share and subscribe for more updates from Thumb Masters. Until next time, do not forget that movies are my jam.